Here I am, back with another video, and give me a second. And today, I even sat down before making the video in order to think of a topic to talk about. That is the good message, that's the good news. The bad news is that I couldn't really think of anything proper to talk about. But I had an okay topic that I came up with. And it is about the synthesizer idea from Andrew Kirby that you want to build your online business by first solving your own problems and then helping other people to solve the same problems. And since I haven't really solved a whole lot of problems in my life, I decided that I can make progress by just focusing on trying to solve my own problems, I think. And the idea that is the underlying idea here is that the Alex Hormozi quote that you should try to get better, don't try to get rich. So yeah, trying to solve my own problems is me trying to get better. And I thought that it would be a good idea to try and go and solve 6 different problems that I have at the moment. And the first one, those 6 problems are: number 1, my health, because I can't really run without some pain somewhere in my body striking me. Then the second problem is basically productivity, especially at work. So basically just building a good career. Then the third problem is looks, so I want to try to improve my looks and my style. The fourth problem is social skills, so I want to, improve my social skills. And the fifth problem is learning, so I want to learn better study techniques. And the sixth problem that I want to solve is to get good at writing. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to aim for fiction or non-fiction writing, but I will figure that out at some point in the future. Now, how exactly am I going to go about solving these problems? So what I generally want to do is, across all of these 6 areas, or all of these 6 problems that I want to solve for myself, I want to try and have a consistent system on an abstract level for going about solving these problems. And I already talked about these things a bit earlier, but basically the system consists in its core of only 2 parts. And the first part is actually taking action on the area that I want to improve in. And the second part is reflecting on the actions that I have taken. And the reflection part is actually the more complicated part, because there are like different things that I want to do in there. Or basically there are different sources. Or the way that you can think about the reflection part in a very abstract sense is that the reflection part is where you come up with new actions to take, or where you decide which actions to take, and then the action part is where you, well, obviously go and take those actions. But for the reflection part, there are different sources for new actions to take, and those sources are, I think they can be kind of divided into three sources. The first one is you just sitting down and asking yourself, well, what are some actions that I could take that I probably should take in order to improve in this area? So it's basically just you sitting down regularly, asking yourself that question, and then coming up with ideas for actions to take. So it's basically a creative endeavor to come up with new actions that you can take. Then, and the way you can kind of structure these three different sources are, there are sources can be either coming from yourself, and they can, or from outside of you, and they can be either creative or very structural. And the idea is that generally, when you have too many things to do, you want to go. So what you always want to do is you want to do the things that you come up yourself, and you want to prioritize structural things. And then if you are like, I don't have enough things to do, you can also come up with creative actions to take. And when you when you don't have any good creative ideas anymore, then you can go and consume outside content in order to come up with new ideas for actions to take. And the other way around, and this is kind of where I find myself right now, is when you realize that you are feeling overwhelmed and there are too many actions that you think you have to take. And especially for me, when I realize that I'm losing this feeling of calm discomfort, then I need to cut out different sources of actions, starting with sources that are outside of me. So basically all content consumption and all actions that are based on outside content, I have to cut out. Then the next step is to cut out all the actions that I came up with myself, but in a more creative sense. And then what I always want to keep, generally speaking, are the actions that I came up with myself that are kind of structural. So basically where I have like done some experiments and I realize, okay, I already have like a tendency that I probably need to take actions into one certain direction. I probably should give an example for this, but I honestly can't really think of one right now. Okay, so let's try and go through the three sources for coming up with actions again. And so the first source is to basically come up with actions yourself, but in a very structured sense. And the way that I want to do this is basically to make experiments. Now, as a bit of a caveat here, I don't think you really start with structured experiments. It's like the very first step is you come up with some actions that you come up with some creative actions that you can take. Because in the beginning, when you don't have any idea what to do, excuse me, in order to start solving that problem, you really just have to sit down and ask yourself, okay, and write it down as a list of actions. Okay, what are actions that I could take and that I probably should take that help me improve in this area, or that can help me move towards a solution for that problem. So that's really the first step. And then the second step is to, once you have your list of actions that you can take, you then go and take that action, and you want to go about taking the action in a somewhat structured experimental way. So basically, I will go and try to take health on my seemingly endless quest to fix my body and my posture, as an example. So what I aim to do, I haven't done this I have not done this consistently over long periods of time, but I try to. So what I want to do is I have a certain set of exercises that I want to do on a daily or weekly basis. And then I kind of want to track, one, which exercises did I do or did I aim to do? Number two, did I actually do the exercise? And then number three, did I have any pains? And if yes, where in my body did those pains occur? And now, of course, in the beginning, again, you don't really know which exercises you take. So you kind of have to, take some creative, think about what are some exercises that I could take, and or what are some steps. Now let's go about this differently. The way I started this journey back in the day was I sat down and I asked myself, okay, what are some steps that I can take in order to move towards fixing my body? And the action that I came up with in my creative session was that, well, I have no fucking clue about my body and health, so I will go and watch some YouTube videos that talk about how to remove certain pains in my body that I have. Or especially I have some problems in my lower back, and so I looked at some exercises that you could do in order to get a healthier lower back. And then I watched, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos, and there were some exercises in those videos, and so I made a list of these exercises, and I committed to doing these exercises every single day. Now, the problem here is that I did not do the exercises every single day. I haven't managed to reliably do these exercises every single day until, well, today. But that's a different story. And so what I then did is, well, basically I did it at a way later point. My story is already a mess, but anyways, I did it at a later point. But what I then did is I created an Excel sheet and I made a list of the exercises that I wanted to do, and I tracked, did I do these exercises today, and then I tracked that I have pains in my body that day, or did I have pain that day. And then the way you would go about this as a structured the way that you would go about this in a structured experiment is that I then looked at the list and at the exercises that I was doing, and I looked at whether or not my pains got better or worse. And then the way you do structured experiments is, I don't know, on a weekly basis or maybe on every 2 weeks, I changed which exercises I was doing. So in the beginning I had quite a lot of exercises, and I had kind of had the suspicion that some of them were too much for me at the time, and so that some of the exercises that I was doing were actually putting too much pressure, especially right now what I'm kind of dealing with is my knee. And so I thought that some of the exercises were probably putting too much pressure on my knee. And so, again, I did this in a very messy way, but generally that was the structure that I followed. Over time, I So I thought about what are some of the exercises that put the most strain on my knee. And then over time, I removed those exercises one by one until the pain in my knee started to recede. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like the exercises that I'm doing right now, well, doing or not doing right now, the exercises that I'm doing right now and aiming to, holy shit, the exercises that I'm aiming to do right now and kind of not doing are exercises where I'm pretty sure that if I do them consistently, my knee will get stronger, and two, they don't really create any new pain in my knee. And so then the new progress then is still in the area of structured experiments that I now try to do these exercises consistently, and then one by one, very slowly, add on top new exercises that make my knee even stronger, but also kind of put more pressure on my knee. But I want to add them one by one instead of all at once, as I did before. And since I'm always measuring whether or not the pain increases or if there's no pain, I can then also kind of say, okay, I introduced this new exercise and my pain started to increase, so I won't do this exercise. Instead, I will, I don't know, do the lower level exercises for 3 or 4 more weeks and then see again if I can introduce the new exercise, or I will introduce a different exercise at first again. And so that's kind of the first level of creating new actions, which is really sometimes creating new actions is not even about starting new things to do, but just changing the actions that you do, obviously. And so that's the first one. And then the second level is thinking about new exercises that I could do. For example, since I have been dealing with this for quite a while, I have also watched quite a lot of YouTube videos on different exercises you can do to improve your body. And so therefore I know about more exercises that I could do that I currently don't have the time to do, or that I don't want to do because I feel like they are not really helpful to my problem at the moment. But this is kind of where I could come up with new creative ways. In a sense, I mean, it's not really that applicable to exercises. But anyways, it's like that's where I could come up with new creative ways in order to improve my health. And the idea here is essentially that, especially for health, that since I have this list of exercises that I do and that I try to progress through, and let's assume that I have like, I don't know how, I think like 6 or 7 exercises for my knees that I want to progress through over the next few months. And let's assume that I progress through these exercises for my knee, and my knee is still not good enough for me to run pain-free. And since I then can't make any progress through those structured experiments because I kind of have already maxed out this area of improvement, I then move into the next area of improvement, which would be creative thinking. So again, since I already have watched quite a bit of videos on exercises you could take or you could do in order to improve your body, I would then sit down and think, okay, what are some exercises that I have seen or done in the past that are not in my current structural experiments approach that I could introduce in order to, try new things. And then I would do that, and I would I would try some new exercises that weren't in my structured approach before. And if even after that, I still can't run pain-free. What I would then do is I would then move to the third area, which would be consuming content. So basically moving to outside sources for new actions and watch different videos from arguably different people over time on how to improve my body and improve my knees, and create actions based on those videos, do these actions, and keep doing that until I can run pain-free. And so what's important here is, and what I'm just realizing right now that I have been struggling with for the past fucking 8 years, is that I have basically moved through these 3 areas, which are like structured experiments, personal creativity, and then consuming content. I have moved through these areas in the wrong way. I have consumed lots of content and then not taken any action on it. Sometimes I sat down and thought of like what are some actions that I could do, that I should do, that I'm not doing right now, but then I didn't really take any action on that. And part of the reason of that was because I didn't really have clarity that I should really only focus on doing these actions until I have done them. Because, well, I was consuming so much content. And basically never I was thinking of something to do, then doing it, and then thinking of something new to do based on the feedback that I got from my previous action, which is really how I think most of your progress, or most of my progress, can come about. And so the 2 problems that I had, or the 2 mistakes that I made and that I'm still making really, that I'm, number 1, not taking enough action, and number 2, that I don't integrate the previous actions that I have taken into the new actions that I want to take. And when you look at it at an even deeper level, it's like, I think that the main problem, or the main thing that has been holding me back, or maybe the main thing that if I had done it earlier would have massively improved my life, is that I thought that I had to find the right information in order to start acting and in order to start having success. But so I basically thought that the way that you would go about, I really thought that the way that you would go about having success would be, consuming information, deciding whether or not it's perfect, realizing that it's not perfect, finding some new pile of information that I could go through, going through that information, deciding that it's not perfect, and then repeating this cycle again and again, searching for the perfect information that would make me successful almost instantaneously. I mean, it wasn't really that. Let's approach this in a different way. Basically, what I didn't realize was that you don't make progress by consuming new information. You make progress by taking new actions. And once you have identified a new action that you can take that would allow you to make progress, I should not consume any information, aka think of any new actions to take, but instead I should only focus on this one action and don't introduce anything new to my mind until I have taken this action that moves me forward in my life. I haven't really explained this very well, but that's kind of the main thing. It's like, once you think of a new action to take, don't think of any new actions to take. Don't think of any other new actions to take. Don't consume any new content in order to think of new actions to take. Take that action and don't do anything else until you have taken that new action. That is kind of, I think, the key for progress in my life right now. I mean, the entire thing can kind of get a bit more complicated when you want to work at, when you have parallel areas of your life that you have to work at. For example, like 3 areas of your life that you're almost automatically always in, maybe even 4, are like number 1, health, number 2, money, number 3, social skills, and number 4, something like happiness or presence, though I think you can kind of ignore the third one. But I think that you definitely have to try and improve, or at least try and work on health, relationships, and money at the same time. So the question then is, what are the actions that I need to take right now before I do anything else? And I wanted, oh my fucking god, I wanted to get a new bike, and I think it was a mistake. But I talked to some people at work about my plans, which might have been a bad move in hindsight. Because one of the people said, oh yeah, one of my friends has a bike, you can have it if you want, or you can buy it if you want. That's really the thing. But the person I talked to, he won't be back in the office, because for reasons, until the end of April. And so basically, if I don't find a way to kind of move out of this idea of his to buy the bike from his friend, then I won't get my fucking bike until fucking April. So, but yeah, anyways. So what I will have to do, I mean, this is kind of pissing me off. It's like a minor thing, to be honest. Yeah, like it actually is a minor thing. And so I'm wondering, what can I do to spend the time until I have solved this problem? How can I spend the time until I've solved the problem well? And the answer is to, well, be more present and try to improve in other areas of my life, and to have some proper actions to take at smart periods in time in order to maybe move myself out of the steal and in order to get my bike earlier. But yeah, like, my ability to say no to people and to properly communicate what I actually want in social interactions is down in the fucking drain. It is something I definitely have to work on. So, okay, so this was kind of a rant on something that was on my mind right now. The real question is, what are the actual next steps that I can take to improve my life? And I do think that it is actually something along the lines of setting calm discomfort kind of as the number one priority in my life, and cutting out everything that keeps me from reaching this state of calm discomfort, and well, doing all the things that keep me in that state, which are like basically, going to bed at the same time and getting up especially at the same time every week, every day, and other things related to discipline. The last part of this video was a mess, but I think this video was definitely better than the videos of the last few days. That's it for today.